I had a great pleasure to work with Mr. Jhabvala for 2.5 years. And before that, for 2 years, I was a student and I had a chance to go over and meet and discuss various things with him as a student of urban planning. As a student, then I decided that if I start work in Delhi, I was not from Delhi, I'll work with him. I asked him, and he laughed and he said, "Oh, have you asked somebody else who has worked with me?" And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Nobody will recommend. It's very difficult to work with me." So I got a bit scared, but I said, "I'd like to try." And I did.
Our association with Jhabvala goes back, as I said, to 1964, 65, 66. He was the head of the department and also used to teach us, take some classes. And we were young, budding architects who were under him. And like so many teachers who influence you, some less, some more. Some are insignificant, we forget. Right from our preschooling days to our college, to our PhD. There are few people who leave a mark on you. And there are others who just fade into oblivion. So Jhabvala was one of those very colorful kind of a personality who had an influence on most of the students of the school.
Mr. Jhabvala, well, when I was studying architecture in the school, at that time it was not SPA, it was the Department of Architecture under Delhi University in Madrasa Road. And that was during 1958 to 1963. During that time, Mr. Jhabvala used to come to the department occasionally. Generally, he would come at night when we were doing any play rehearsals or preparing an exhibition of sorts. So he would invariably come at about 10, 11 at night, 12 o'clock at night, arrive and says, "Bas, bahut ho gaya. Chodo ise. Time to have some ice cream." And so we'd all wanting to take us out. So it was quite a very inspiring individual.
I wouldn't say we were scared of him, but we were in awe of him. So, and he had this fully transparent glazed door leading into his office. So he could kind of monitor people coming up and down the staircase. So the idea was to somehow slink past, without him getting to see you.
I've known Mr. Jhabvala in different times of his life and my life. I first met Mr. Jhabvala when I joined the School of Planning and Architecture in 1971, where he was the head of department. And some of my early memories of Mr. Jhabvala was this very stern person, and everyone who was taught by him, probably that was the one common element that people used to be quite scared and in awe of Mr. Jhabvala. But for me, very early, I sort of developed a great respect for him. So my respect was not based on being scared of him, but really on the fact that he had so much to give to the profession. And this you may have heard from many people, that he had a glass door in the office.
Right.
And it had a direct view of the staircase, anybody coming up and down. And everyone who knew him talks about the fact that they knew when students were coming late or leaving early, but that also included faculty. He kept a tab on faculty as well. But for me, it was a little different. It provided a transparency that today, in fact, I find missing. I find that I go to schools of architecture and the dean's door is closed, or to get to see the dean, you have to go through a secretary or a PA or whatever. very early in college, I found that the glass door also meant that any student, anybody in the faculty, could actually approach him. And all you had to do was stand outside his glass door and he would sort of motion you in, sometimes fire you. But it also provided this amazing connection to the topmost person in college, which I think is something that we seem to have lost today. I get to see college where you have that kind of connectivity with, say, the head of department.
It's not exactly about what he taught me, but how he did it, you know. And he was pretty merciless, and you know, his humor was terrifying for most people, unless you were, you know, unless you were sort of almost willing to fall off a cliff. You could hardly look him in the eye, you know, because he just come up with something absolutely cool. And for some reason, I was very, you know, I was someone who didn't have much to lose, because I had sort of left home, and you know, so I wasn't scared of him, and so we became quite friendly, because he figured out that I wasn't that intimidated by you know, he'd suddenly show up and give everybody, like, the maximum mark in class would be like 1.5 on 10 and things like that. But you know, if you were intimidated by that sort of thing, you would have a hard time.
He could be very tough. He was very straightforward. He was very good type. He was a disciplinarian. But at the same time, he had a soft side to him, and he could befriend students. He could, if he so chose, talk to students at their level. So which was something nice, because he was able to do both. But yes, by and large, I think people know him more for his discipline than for his other side. And the ones that he was able to befriend or was close to would vouch for that. And luckily, I happen to be one of them.
We were doing exhibition for Trade Fair Authority of India, and our client was MMTC, Mineral Development Corporation, and we had put up an exhibition which was the most popular exhibition that MMTC had, and we got a gold medal for that, and subsequently for next 2 years we got gold medal for that. So he was an exceptionally good exhibition designer, which is what I do now as well, because I learned from him. And the most important part was, he said that don't see as an architect or as a designer, see how somebody who walks in will see and would like to see what is happening in the exhibition.
He was not in any way a terrifying person when you met him. But for some reason, he would always convey this aura of, you know, that he could inflict the severest damage on you. He would walk like that, he would look piercingly at you, and you would not say anything. And just when he passed you, he would say something, "Come straight up in here," or something like that. He would say, you know, something very, very pointed, and then you'd suddenly shiver and, you know, go in the corner and look all your receipts and kya hua and all that kind of thing.
And as far as his knowledge is concerned, I mean, he was extremely well-read person. He was exposed. He was, he had this amazing understanding of human condition at one level, and at another level, basic human behavior. And his understanding of people is so sharp. and still uncanny on occasions.
But I think his best quality, Jobs, was that he was able to attract a lot of good faculty in those days. So I think that is the time when people like Raj Raval, Ranjit Siddiqui, Ajoy Chaudhary, Murad Chaudhary, they were all teaching. And he somehow managed to get people to come in even if they were busy. Like my father also taught there in a visiting capacity. So I think he managed to pull in a lot of people. So I think that was his biggest, I would say, his forte.
First, he had a great interest in design and himself drawing things. He was a great supporter, proponent of using pencil and sharpen, not even sharpen a blade. So when I went to his practice, I was the first person who had a clutch pencil, and he said, "Oh, don't bring such things, here. You'll spoil my team." And I knew that, but he sort of made me learn again how to have a proper pencil and chisel it and actually use it. And he said that unless your eyes and your mind and your hand do not coordinate, you can never design anything. Because when all three are in place, then only you can actually happen.
He had an amazing eye for detail, and quality of sketches fantastic. And he was known in the academic world, he was known for his construction background. But actually, much later, when I did some photography for him, I realized that his body of work was amazing, which he never actually talked about very much. One came to know about his master planning, his building much later.
And I don't have to tell you that he had a very unique style of sketching, which was basically he used to work with soft pencils from 6B to 4B to 2B pencils, and he would chisel them into shape, and he would cut them into chisel-shaped kind of edges, and the strokes had these, had a chisel-shaped. These are chisel-shaped strokes, and he then sort of played with those strokes.
His thing did involve using a lot of jalis in a number of buildings, and then there was a sense towards some kind of ornamentation, but yet broadly following the modern idiom.
Well, he was a very pragmatic architect. He did not believe in unnecessary decoration, straight to the point, and very functional. He understood the way of life of people, how people lived, and his planning, especially for houses, reflects that. The way he organized his spaces, straightforward, clean, no dramabazi.
He used to teach us construction, for example. And once he asked us a very silly question, जैसे पढ़ते पढ़ते कि ये बंदा ईंट लगा रहा है, ईंट का वेट कितना होता है? ईंट का वेट कितना होता है? So people started looking here and there, and this girl says 100 gram. So he looked at her and said, "Idhar." We used to have that platform on which the teacher used to sit and the class was there. Platform pe, "Idhar." She got very frightened. And incidentally, Jhabvala used to be a smoker. He used to smoke a lot. He used to smoke so many cigarettes that he felt that the cigarette packet was not enough. So he used to carry a soap case, plastic का soap case, उसके अंदर cigarettes होती थी उसमें. Although I don't ever remember him smoking casually. He was always a little secretive about his smoking. It was not an offensive smoking. Although आजकल तो smoking allowed ही नहीं है class में. and you can be reported. Those were the different days. But it was not like he will blow smoke in your face, and he was not an offensive smoker. So when he called her on the stage, we thought कि इसको डांट पड़ेगी या कुछ होगा. तो he was holding his cigarettes and his lighter in his hand. He said, "ये ले." He gave the lighter to her. He said, "Do you feel this?" Yes. He said, "This is nearly 100 gram." So ईट इतनी होती है क्या? तो she was thoroughly confused, and so were most of us. कि यार हम क्या बोल रहे हैं और ये क्या कह रहा है. Then of course he told us कि मैं तुमको बता सकता हूँ, but I want you to go and find out. So next day everybody went, a lot of research on ईट का weight क्या होता है. So that way, you remember things. You never make that mistake ever again.
After I graduated in 1963, and then after that, I think 65, he became the head of the architecture department. And I got admitted at Yale to pursue my master's. So I thought it would be good for me to go and tell Mr. Jhabvala that I'm going to Yale. So I went to the department, and he was there. He didn't believe. He had his door open on the table. टांगे ऐसे रख के बैठते थे वो. हाँ, मैंने कहा सर may I come in? हाँ कौन? हाँ आजा आजा. So I told him, I said कि जी I'm going to Yale जा रहा हूँ मैं. हाँ तो मैं क्या करूँ? I was very annoyed. I said, I thought you would be happy that one of your students is being admitted. You don't care, so thank you very much. I'm going. अबे यार तू तो नाराज हो गया. चल वापस आ. बैठ. अरे बैठ ना. Then he would say that. He gave me a piece of advice that I have never forgotten and always followed. He said, ठीक है जा रहा है, जा, लेकिन एक चीज ध्यान रख ले, the real education is not inside the classroom. The real education is outside the classroom. That's one. Number two, अमेरिका जा रहा है तो घूम, travel, because that is where the real life is. I've never forgotten that. It was an incredible piece of advice. Something it's not only philosophical, but it's correct advice. It pointed me in a direction that I'm still pursuing.
It was quite a lot him, but obviously, when you write any kind of fiction, it's something that sort of it starts off as something and then it develops into something. But I remember when we had our first screening of Annie, Jab, as we used to call him, and Ruth came to see it. And after the film, she said, "But how did you know about his mother?" So I said, "I didn't. I just made it up." She said, "No, it was exactly like that. No, exactly like that." And he used to, for some reason, he used to call me, not Annie, he used to call me in class, he used to call me Animal. So after the film, a couple of days later, he rang me up and he said, "Hey Animal, I just wanted to tell you that, I really tried with those guys, it just didn't work."
There would be incidents all the time. And as a new entrant to the college, as a rookie in the college, in the first year fresher, your mystery was always this, that here was a person who everybody would, kind of say that, he's such a terror and he does this and he does that. And then they also say that he's a quack himself. So how can both things be there? That you have a person who's kind of slightly off track and then when they talk about it, you say, oh, very much off track. And that the same person actually is a disciplinarian also. How is that possible? But that's the wonder of Jhabvala. Yes, it was him.